Call the meeting to order on the city council meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Ikuangeli.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Yes, here.
Whitman. Here. Mayor Clark.
Here. I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Grant us the strength to manage the challenges ahead and the wisdom to identify opportunities as we strive to serve our community. As we make decisions, grant us the gift of an open mind, the willingness to learn, and the humility to accept the ideas of others.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, before we go to the next item, I just want to thank everybody for being here this evening, and I apologize for the delay of getting our meeting started here on time at 7:30. The closed session had some in-depth conversation was required and some additional time that was needed, so I appreciate your patience with us here this evening. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is approval of regular agenda.
I'll look for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we approve the regular agenda.
I'll second.
I got two. There's a motion from Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Vining, to approve the regular agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Ikuangeli.
Yes.
Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Lamore.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Whitman. Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments, the amount should read $875,190.81, 875,190.81.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda? Councilman Ikuangeli.
3242.
Other items on the consent agenda council wishes to have pulled? Seeing none from council, are there any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda wish to have further discussion? Seeing none, a motion will be ordered regarding the consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilman Felder.
I would motion that all items on the consent agenda not pulled for further discussion be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, that all items on the consent agenda not pulled for further discussion be accepted, placed on file, the recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Ikuangeli.
Yes.
Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Lamore.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Whitman. Mayor Clark.
Yes.
So our original plan then is to move that under council action, right? Then that item that was pulled?
That's correct. I thank you for the clarification. I remember our last meeting. So some adjustments as we come through with our new formats that we have here, some adjustments. When that item was pulled from the consent agenda, we used to have the conversation right there, but it never got placed anywhere. So the way in which we operate now is items pulled from the consent agenda then gets placed underneath council action. It will fall after the items that appear on the agenda. Thank you, clerk, for reminding me on that, because that's about.
We've had that
I know, it's
instance,
getting ready
so
to
just-
ask
all right.
for it.
Okay. So then therefore, the next item will be presentations, communications. So we have a presentation, item 3244, event calendar and brand awareness.
Thank you. Mr. Pastu, I don't know if you have some introductions, or I see that members of the Monroe County BDC and chairperson and others are here for this reason.
Good evening.
Just make sure the little green button's on there. There you go. Thank you, Mr.
Good
White.
evening, everyone. So just give me a minute here. We'll
Sure.
get this fired up.
Tim is pulling that up, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll get us started in the
Sure.
interest of time. Thank you, first of all, Mayor Clark and members of the council for allowing us to present tonight. We have several presenters that are part of this as part of an update on the Monroe County Link Plan, and we'll demonstrate the Cornerstone pillar and event calendar. But Michael Bosonic, who you know as County of Monroe Administrator and CFO, Sue Vanasecker with Lazy Boy, Tim Lake, course of Monroe County BDC, and myself, Doug Chafin, as Chairman of the BDC and of the Battlefield Foundation. So we appreciate you allowing us to present. We're going to talk about the Monroe County Link Plan and maybe update you a little bit on what's happening with that. Share with you this kind of culmination, which was a shared vision between the Tourism Bureau, the Link Plan, the Michigan Cornerstone Community Event Calendar, kind of came to its fruition through all those efforts as part of the Monroe County Link Plan, and Tim will be demonstrating that later. I'll talk about the Link Plan. Mr. Bosonic will talk about our brand, which is now referred to as Michigan's Cornerstone, and then Sue Vanasecker will follow up at the end about how this has engaged various community partners through this plan. We're excited about this. Let's see. How do I advance this, Tim? I thought I did it.
It's a down arrow button.
Right there, okay.
One up, one. There you go.
There we go. Skipped one. Sorry about that. As you may recall, when we first established the Monroe County Link Plan several years ago, there were 6 primary pillars that was established at that time. We're only going to focus on a couple here. One was prepare for investment. You know, that is now included GIS mapping and via a hub system, community engagement for a site preparation for that, and then various educational seminars. We also now have Launch 734, which is an entrepreneurial support network, startup and grow up gap programming, which you may have heard of. Talent development is in full force, kind of relaunched that particular pillar, due to the obvious transition with COVID last year, but expanding the group of educators, businesses, and workforce development network as part of the talent development. Michigan Cornerstone in particular came as a culmination of merging 2 different teams, 2 different pillar teams. The quality of life and tourism team, as well as the Michigan or the branding team as well. So those 2 teams combined, we now call that the Michigan Cornerstone pillar team. Part of that is to help drive residential growth, residential development, and tourism as an economic driver for our community. So to talk about that further, I'm going to ask Mike Bosonic to step forward, talk a little bit about the partnerships that we've developed and the Michigan Cornerstone brand. Mike?
Thanks, Doug. Mayor, Council, again, thank you for inviting us to make a short presentation to you this evening. I'm going to talk first about the My Cornerstone Community Event Calendar, and then I'll talk a little bit about the brand. So I think a little bit different order than you heard first. So a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to participate in the Tourism Bureau Strategic Planning Workshop with a number of other key community stakeholders. What came out of that workshop was an agreement that we would collaborate and we would work together. The My Cornerstone Community Event Calendar is that tool, that collaborative tool that we have created. It recognizes how sharing our resources, our time, and our talent will really be the key to our success. And I think that anybody who's followed the Monroe Link Plan recognizes that that's been the same approach with that effort. We created the Michigan Cornerstone Community Event Calendar for 2 broad objectives. First, it was created so that we could share the tool as a single repository of all events that are occurring in our county. And second, to leverage our many community partnerships that we have, and through these partnerships, drive visitors to Monroe, and inform our own citizens about the best things that we have to offer. Second, through these joint efforts, we would promote commerce, help keep local dollars here in our community, and we would strengthen and improve tourism and economic development efforts by putting heads in the beds, as the hotel operators like to say. And then third, we would market our image and brand through a coordinated effort on a common message platform to promote activities, events, hospitality, lodging, and in food and entertainment offerings. Now, I'm from the county. Not here to tell you that I'm here to help you, so to speak, but my message is that the county created this community event calendar, not for ourselves. The county we don't sponsor events. We're not a local community. We're the county government. But we created this as a tool for our local communities and our local partners within our communities. Now, the county's planning and engagement team built this while the pandemic was going on. They were busy at work creating this. It actually resides and rides on our GIS platform. So it's not something that it's here today and gone tomorrow. That's something that we continue to build, we continue to develop over time. And while the county created the community calendar, we really built it for, again, our local communities, the Tourism Bureau, and our hospitality and event partners. And we believe that it is exactly the tool that we discussed in terms of our visioning with the tourism workshop that took place a couple of years ago. So our vision of the Michigan Cornerstone Community Event Calendar is to manage all events, as I noted, in a single repository. So, I know there's a couple of different avenues that are out there in venues where events may be posted, they're reported on. This is web-based, it's smartphone-enabled, so no matter where you're at, you can have access to it and you can find out all kinds of information, anything that's going on, and Tim will show you that in just a few minutes. It's intended to showcase our member hospitality locations, and you'll see some of the features of that when Tim demonstrates that. And again, then showcase local attractions, things to do for our citizens and visitors alike. So I'll wrap up with a few comments about the brand. The Michigan Cornerstone Community Event Calendar links up with the county brand or the community brand. They really work in tandem, and you'll see that prominently displayed on the website for the event calendar. The image and the brand pillar team worked for almost a year, and we had a number of community leaders who were involved in that, creating the effort. A lot of work went into that, and they created what is Michigan's Cornerstone, which is all the communities together who make up everybody in the county of Monroe. So the brand is, right now, it's being used to create that countywide identity, yet it's intended to provide for that continued individual character of our local communities who, through their own efforts have created their own culture, their own image of their own communities, but this creates that overarching brand of our entire county. It provides our local communities and the Tourism Bureau with a common marketing platform to use the brand and strengthen those partnerships. And it's already being used by local communities and other business embracing the brand. In the county, you'll see it on my email hashtag at the bottom, so to speak. Our employee IDs says Michigan's Cornerstone. So we're promoting that where we can. So just a couple of final comments. The principles and ideals that are behind the brand and the Michigan Cornerstone Community Event Calendar are really intended to link and connect all of our communities together, their offerings, and collectively promote the best that we have to offer. And I think as a community and communities in Monroe County, we have an awful lot to offer. I think getting the information out to people a lot of times, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was available to me. It also represents our ideal that together with each community's strength and their offerings, we really have more opportunities to promote than if we marketed things on our own. And finally, with our communities together, we really are Michigan's Cornerstone. And with that, I think, Tim, you're about ready to have me stop talking, and you're going to present the calendar.
Yep.
Hopefully, if technology is on our side. I'm using Mr. Cochran's hotspot, so It's moving, but it's slow. It is twirling up here. So you can see this is the front facing when you first get to the website. What you see there where it says community events is what you'll see when it comes online. If it comes online. Oh, they go down?
Yeah.
We lost you.
There.
Okay, we'll try this one more time here. There, whoops. There we go. Except I'm not getting it up on your screen. Okay.
There it is.
I thought I can see.
So when you get up here, you will see this is how it'll open up, and you can look at the events that are upcoming. So sorry about the delay in getting that to you. So you'll look at the events that are happening in the area, and you'll see some of this is still beta, but a lot of these things that were populated were from the battlefield. They were able to give me a lot of their events that are upcoming, and so we're able to put them on here. So we moved through there. The July 15th Battlefield Walking Tour is an ongoing thing, so that's why it continues to stay up there. They're doing those on a daily basis. So family story time at the park, you can click on that, and it'll give you more detail about what that event is. If we didn't lose the hotspot again? Yeah. So able to post a picture with that, okay? And then some detail, talking about what that event is, what's going to happen, and any more specific details that there might be with that particular event. You can click if you want to attend it. It's just going to notify the sponsor that you're attending it. You can share it on your social media pages. So you can tweet it out, Facebook, Instagram, that you're going to be attending these events moving forward. So if you follow on down, there's a mapping system, okay? And as you zero in on the map, again, we're still loading here, but what's going to happen is you'll see the various events that are going to be on here, as well as the hotels, restaurants, other categories that we've populated with this, the parks that will be in here. And again, apologize because it's loading slow. And then should you wish to submit an event, we have at the bottom of the page a Submit Your Event Here button. And what happens here is you'll put all your detailed information in about your event, and these events are going to be vetted out eventually through the Tourism Bureau. There'll be a person over there that will be receiving these, and as they come in, they'll look at them. They do have some criteria that they're working on, and our Cornerstone Pillar team is working on criteria We're not going to have just any event be put on there. They're not going to be garage sales or flea markets or those type of things, local stuff. But again, for this first year certainly, or the balance of this year, we'd like to get community events put on here that have an opportunity to attract. Obviously, the Tourism Bureau's interest, again, as Mike mentioned, is heads in beds, but we think we can combine a lot of activity that's going on with multiple activities to actually do a marketing campaign outside of the Monroe area. So if somebody's coming in to see the battlefield, and they may be planning an afternoon of activities at the battlefield, what might be happening in Dundee that they could also coordinate with that? So we can work on packaging these things now and really creating a weekend of activity for folks, Friday, Saturday, Sunday activity to keep them here. So that's the gist of it. If there's any specific questions before we wrap up, I can take those now, or we can wait to the end. I guess we want to wait to the end because I'll bring Ms. Vanasacker up now to give you the sales pitch.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure being here today. We have taken this to various communities throughout Monroe County, and no pressure, but we did get an applause from Luna Pier. So just to let you know that. So I wonder if I can get out of this now, Tim.
Yeah, you can just close it down if you want to. Oh, I got to get you back, don't I?
Yes.
Let me just.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Thank you very much.
I saw the map there for a second.
You saw
too.
the map for
Yeah,
a
it was the
second, didn't
dots.
you?
Yeah.
And it really is extremely slick when we're not going through all the firewalls, et cetera. But what we're here today to talk about, or what we've talked about, is something that Monroe County has needed for a long time. The idea of this new combined committee that's providing the leadership as well as the vision to this community-wide tool. The idea that not only will guests to our community, but our own residents will be able to understand what's going on in our community and see that, as well as to encompass the Cornerstone brand. The structure includes representative stakeholders from various expertise from both large businesses, small businesses, municipalities, et cetera, that are working together on this plan. It's recommended by the strategic plan of the Tourism Bureau. It was one of the key things that was talked about several years ago with the Tourism Bureau. And it provides the additional support to those Bureau members in terms of the hotels that are there. So finally, our ask. So Monroe County Planning and Community Engagement Team has done a really great job of developing this events calendar tool. It's been needed again in the community for a long time. Our hope is that each and every small to large municipality will own this tool, will embrace this tool and move forward with it. We're asking for your continued leadership and support of the Monroe Link Plan and all of the pillars. Again, support the leadership by, in an upcoming city council meeting, approving a resolution on the Cornerstone Community Events Calendar in the Michigan Cornerstone brand. So again, we're asking all of our communities to work with us. Again, you have your beautiful new logo up there. Nothing that we're doing is trying to take away from that beautiful logo. It's just the over-encompassing. So again, we'd ask for your support at the upcoming meeting in September when the resolution is before you. Do you have any questions?
So I'll see if there's any questions from council this time for any of the presenters or the foundation of the information provided. So I'll just make I know that he's passing some things out. I'll make a comment because I was fortunate to be able to sit on some of the committees and information and over the long many months. It was interesting to hear from everybody that was at those different groups and you know, the branding and how how the Michigan Cornerstone came to be. Sue is correct. You know, there's each of our communities have our own brand, and we of course went through ours. But the idea is, as you come into Monroe County, this is the overall arching of what we want to put out in a broad sense. But when you exit into one of the communities, then they recognize that it's the Luna Pier brand as you go into their community, or Frenchtown, or the city of Monroe, or Bedford, wherever that may be. But I do want to say one item here because there's somebody here this evening that I think of how we got here and all the hard work, but somebody had to give us direction. Somebody had to keep us on point. And I see Florence Buchanan is here. And I just want to say thanks, a personal thanks to Florence for all her efforts. And I would say that everybody that was a participant recognizes that without her drive and support, how we got here in the time frame we did. So Florence, my personal thank you for that. So, and for all those members and those who are here in the presentation as well. I'll see if there's any other comments or questions. Councilman Michael Ensley.
Your Honor, Sue, I would, is the idea that the communities would have a link to this on their community websites?
That's exactly correct, yes.
Really nice.
It will be. I think when we talk about, we've talked about that as council, and I know many of the communities have, and their governing boards as well, is how do we get people to all the events and activities, and then you find out a day or two after, well, I didn't know that was going on, or if I'd have known. So I think this brings it to one place for everybody to find, not only the residents that are here, but those that may be visiting or coming in, staying at our hotels, and staying for a day or two or more. So I think it's really that partnership that they're asking for, but also a strong support of a resolution at a future meeting, but that we also are that participant with the Monroe County, the Michigan Cornerstone brand. And I know that there's many of these, we had the little placards and, the circle holders for beverages. I know that's already around throughout the county at some of the South County taverns, and how we really push that as well as each individual community pushes their brand, but also in a broad sense to get more and more people to our communities. So, Councilwoman Germaini.
Sue, what kind of marketing are you planning on to get the word out about this?
I think I'll turn that over to Tim. I know that the team at the Monroe County BDC is starting to push that out. Also visiting a lot of local establishments. So they've gone with kits to various restaurants and establishments throughout the community to try to get everyone to market. And there are how many ambassadors, Tim? I'll let you take that question, but we have ambassadors that are going around as well.
There's around 270 ambassadors that we stay in close contact with to help us push the word out, okay? We also, Matt Vanasacker has gone out to various establishments. We picked about 8 to 10 establishments throughout the county. And the coasters that you see, we provided those to them, hoping to seat it. We also gave takeaway bags like this. You might have seen those around if you got some takeaway. So I know Public House has them. So we're doing that kind of thing. We also have started off with, this is way beyond me, influencers, okay? So we now have influencers, those folks that have a large social media gathering, and we've provided some bling for those folks, and they've committed to doing some social comments about the Mich Cornerstone brand itself. And then as we move forward, as part of the budgetary process, moving this into the Tourism Bureau's kind of realm of activity, we plan to put a budget around for marketing, because obviously that's one of the things that they are. They're a destination marketing organization, so it just seems natural that they'll be able to help market the brand with some of the funding that we'll raise externally, but also that might come through their sources too. So that's the general plan.
Other questions or comments? Well, I'll say thank you for all being here this evening and presenting regarding the Michigan Cornerstone, the brand. There's the website as well, and for those to learn about it, but also maybe they'll want to be influencers as well, or ambassadors. For
Yeah,
the
if you want to be an
program as well.
ambassador, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
Thank you for being here. Yep.
Let's clap.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. Clerk, next item, please.
Item is under council action. Item 3246, consideration to ratify 5-year collective bargaining agreement with Poam.
Mr. Pastu, any introduction information that you'd like to start with?
If you would like me to walk through aspects of it, I know we talked at great length in closed session about it, but essentially it's a 5-year contract with the POAM. The first year, some wage restructuring, in which we collapse, if you will, a 12-year step process to a 5-year step process, build a 2% wage increase with that, as well as the succeeding years thereafter at 2%. One of the changes, we would make these step increases effective July 1st to correspond with our fiscal year, and then a number of other provisions through the agreement involving some details with benefits, health and dental and vision care. Actually, one of the things that we talked about, it's incorporated into this, would be a MERS plan, a voluntary plan, 2% that the city would contribute, and the members in the bargaining unit voluntarily could contribute 6%. So it's 6 and 2. We didn't get into any detail with that, but it is a good step addressing some of the issues with the Tier 2 system that they have with the pension. Other than that, there's, again, the significant thing with collapsing the wage schedule from 12 years to 5. Along with that, letter of understanding, applying some of the ARPA money to succeeding years with bonuses in the amount of $2,000, which is an eligible use for that. And then lastly, a appendix letter of understanding regarding any changes, essentially a Me Too clause if any other bargaining unit has anything in excess of what they have in this agreement. And so with that, present that for consideration to approve tonight.
Thank you. I'll see if there's any comments. If not, we have 2 items under council action. Of course, this is the first one.
Your Honor, I would make a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with POAM, subject to the Public Safety Director creating job descriptions for police and fire, consistent with the City Council adopted resolution related to public safety reorganization.
There's a motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 3246, the consideration to ratify the 5-year collective bargaining agreement with the POAM. Any final comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Michelangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Mr. Pastu, I'm sorry, Clerk, next item, please.
Next item is item 3247, consideration to ratify 5-year collective bargaining agreement with COAM.
Thank you. And Mr. Pastu, some introduction on this as well.
Very, very similar agreement. What I should have mentioned, obviously, that in structuring the compensation and benefits, it does fit with the council's operational resolution approved this past July, but also it addresses in the 5-year budget shortfall that we know exists as a result of the DTE settlement. So therefore, all of this fits within that framework as well. In the case of the Command Officers Association, essentially the same thing, other than Article 15, which is dealing with seniority transfer out of the unit. In the event they take a promotion and it's not working, they have a ability to jump back in at a later time.
Very good.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we ratify the 5-year collective bargaining agreement with COAM.
I'll second that.
There's a motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 3247, consideration to ratify the 5-year collective bargaining agreement with the COAM. Final comments?
Yes, Your Honor, I just had the one comment. Are we going to add on that it's going to be consistent with the council resolution as well, the job description as far as the public safety director?
No, I think that only applied to the POAM.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I still hold with the second.
Just follow-up comment. I think Mr. Pastu added the previous action by the council regarding the public safety director and resolution that was followed up in there. I think would cover those duties so that the public safety director. There is a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Nicoangeli? Yes. Vining? Yes. Jermaine? Yes. Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 3242, approval of partnership agreement with Monroe County Business Development Corporation.
Michelangelo.
Wanted to ask council if they would consider increasing the amount from 20,000 to 25,000 for the County Business Development Corporation. The BC, the Business Development Council has been a really good partner with the city on economic development in the last few years. I think a lot of it just based on the presentation. Presentation was very good regarding the Cornerstone. Branding and marketing is just an example of the service that they provide countywide that also benefits the city of Monroe. So I'm asking council to consider increasing their allocation to 25,000. And with Mr. Bosonic here in the audience, I would challenge the county to increase theirs by 5,000 as well.
Hold on. Councilman Michelangelo obviously pulled this for discussion because I wanted to give support to the partnership and relationship that we have with Monroe County BDC. And I'm going to echo those comments because I think as we've, over the years, decade plus, in the transformation under the direction leadership of their director, Mr. Tim Lake, there's much that has occurred, and I know some may not see it, but I can tell you that internally, and working with Mr. Cochran, our economic development director, there's much in which they've participated. I think of some of the other initiatives that while they may not have risen to some final completion, there was a lot of work done when we talk about our neighboring jurisdictions and opportunities and presenting in the best light opportunities to partner. And yet we've had many great successes. I agree with you, Councilman. I think where we started, we've grown together and we've improved together. And I think the results have been combined not only for the city of Monroe, the county of Monroe, but our other jurisdictions. And so I appreciate the request as something I could support. I'll see if there's other comments from the council members.
Just make a motion, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the partnership agreement with the Monroe County Business Development Corporation for 2022 fiscal year in the amount of $25,000.
Motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Moore on item 3242, the approval of the partnership agreement with the Monroe County Business Development Corporation. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Nicoangeli?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Now we'll see when Mr. Sell comes back tomorrow because he's not here this evening, our finance director, to figure. I'm confident he'll be able to figure this out easily. So
I will tell Mr. Sell there's great value in that increase there. There's no doubt about it. So,
Absolutely.
And he'll understand.
Further items.
next item is council comments, and we're in August. Councilman Michelangelo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just I don't think a shout out's even appropriate. I just think that we need to really compliment the city administration and the various departments in terms of their reaction to the storm that we had last week. The amount of damage that we had in the community and what it looks like today is far different, and it's because of their efforts. So I just personally want to tell the department heads, thank you very much. City manager, thank you for being very responsive to that situation. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Vining.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about one of the city of Monroe's native sons, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Chappelle, PhD now at the end of his name. He was born and raised here in the city of Monroe. He graduated from Monroe Public Schools, I believe, in the year 1988. But Brian is retiring from the United States Air Force after a 28-year career, August 30th. So here in a couple weeks. And I just wanted to point out his accomplishment. in that long and illustrious career in the United States Air Force. And I wanted to thank the mayor and the rest of the council. We were able to declare August 30th, 2021 as Brian K. Chappelle Day here in the city of Monroe. So if you know Brian, call him, go on social media, give him a shout out. His accomplishments they go on and on and on and on. But his specialty has been in the nuclear field, specifically nuclear defense. So he's stationed, most of his work now is involving Pakistan and the Pakistani military, where it concerns our safety. And so that's a big deal. And I just wanted to congratulate him on his retirement and all of his accomplishments. And again, to thank you and Ms. Pat for working so hard on that proclamation and declaring August 30th, 2021, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Chappelle Day in the city of Monroe. I'm very proud to share this information. So also, well, Patrick, I'll just call you later. I don't want to make a complaint after talking about Brian's accomplishments, but look for my email, okay? Thank you. Hang around, wait for that. I know you will. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Councilwoman.
That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Germaini.
Thank you, Your Honor. A week from Wednesday, August 25th at 6 p.m., the Opportunity Center at the ALCC is having an open house celebrating the grand opening of the dedication of the community gardens. Also, the reopening of the gymnasium, which has two memorials, the Chappelle Memorial Gymnasium and Darren Hoskins Court. Please come and share all the wonderful things that they're doing down there. It will be a wonderful evening. There'll be entertainment for the community, art, food. Come on down. It's a wonderful event. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Colonel Brian Chappelle on his illustrious career. Certainly a great honor to the city of Monroe. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Monroe County BDC staff, Tim Lake, Florence Buchanan, Doug Chafin, Mike Bosonic, and Sue Vanasacker for their excellent presentation tonight on Michigan's Cornerstone. They certainly have our support now. It's official. So thank you for your presentation. It was beautiful. Thirdly, I'd like to announce that the Knights of Columbus, which I saw on your event calendar, is holding a Knights for Life auction, art auction this upcoming Saturday, August 22nd. If you need more information on that, please get on the Monroe KFC website. Fourth, I'd like to thank the DPS for their performance in handling the storm damage. Not only were they timely in getting the job done, literally I placed a call into Tanya, and I think it was a matter of, there was two huge tree limbs out in the middle of Elm Avenue, and it was a matter of less than a half an hour. Both those tree limbs were not only cleared, but cut up and gone. So it was impressive, very impressive what they did. So John just touched on it a little bit, but I'm telling you, it was very impressive what they did this past week. They made sure all of our roads were ready to travel. I couldn't be prouder of them. They were absolutely excellent this past week. Not only that, but they made sure all of our residents were safe in conjunction with our police and fire departments. So thank you for all the departments and what you did this past week. I think it was excellent, and you guys deserve a round of applause yourselves. So thank you again. Now, the downside of the storm. Several residents in the city, I'd say probably a majority of the residents in the city, were without power in the city. And I briefly touched on this before, where I think we should consider burying some of the lines. Now, that's not going to solve all the problems. That's not going to solve all the problems of getting the utilities back up and running. But I think that it may help in the future of keeping the utilities running at a quicker pace or getting them back online sooner. Certainly, we wouldn't have to clear all the damage away from power lines that aren't there. I know it can be an expensive task, but maybe something we should consider maybe using some of the ARPA funds for is to potentially bury some lines. I know we did it back in the 1980s down on the riverfront. It was very successful, and I know that the downtown businesses have been pretty much without power breakups because of that. Obviously, it's where the power starts and ends that can be a problem, but it does make a difference, I feel. So it's something we may want to consider to use our ARPA funds for. And thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Certainly a thank you to Tim Lake and the rest of the BDC for your presentation this evening. And certainly look forward to our continued partnership moving forward. So, I mean, it's awesome that you guys came out and what you're doing for the community, for all of us, and hopefully we can all be stakeholders in that. So, thank you. There are some residents still in need of some resources, having issues with power or damaged items. Feel free to contact city staff or myself. We'll try and put you in touch with the resources that are available to you. Many parts of the city were hit very hard, and I'd like to thank DPS for their prompt reply to much of that, and clearing the roads very quickly. There's still some debris that we need to go back, but they prioritized clearing the roads as fast as possible and really got the job done there. So thank you to them for accomplishing that. I think that's all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Whitman.
Yes, I too want to compliment not just the city, which did a wonderful job on the storm, but the way that the neighbors came out and helped each other. It was very heartwarming to see. I personally, my dog got away 3 times, and I could thank all my neighbors for helping me to chase him down. He's new to the neighborhood, and now he knows everyone. But, that's one of the things that I love about living in Monroe and especially like where the section that I live in, it's like living in the county, but you're really in the middle of the city. And so it was heartwarming to see, the elderly got the help that they needed, and and I'm not calling myself elderly either. But it was that was a very dangerous storm because I was one of the first ones to call, and the wires in the tree were melting and catching fire. And if it hadn't been raining, it would have caught fire. We would have had a lot more problems than what we did. So, I'm always proud to live in Monroe. It's my hometown, and I enjoyed the presentation tonight. And I think it always pleases me when I see how we all get nervous and we're trying to do our best efforts, and then you can't get the machinery to work, and it's one thing after the other. But I think you're amongst friends, and we all understand. And it's wonderful the things that are going on in Monroe right now. So thank you, and maybe next month I'll have a better voice.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So I just have a couple comments. I'm going to start with Lieutenant Colonel Brian Chappelle. I think it's been covered by Councilwoman Vining very well and other council members. So his celebration was actually coming up, and it was kind of a time push to make sure that we, as a collective group of council, I was able to put together a proclamation. I want to thank Pat Weaver. Of course, she always helps with that, with the research and also the information provided by Councilwoman Vining. But I'm not going to go through his entire history. I think that the Councilwoman covered some of that, but I had just some things I think that really speaks to the person, at least from his career side. Then I'll talk about his personal side as well. His Master of Science in Strategic Intelligence in the Joint Military Intelligence College, Doctor of Philosophy in World Politics. He served lastly in the Pentagon. And Councilman was right. His forte was within the nuclear sciences and the response to that. He was published with a a publication which was State Response to Nuclear Proliferation, the Differential Effects of Threat Perception. So you think about how a person that sits and thinks about our world and thinks of our country and thinks about Monroe as he went about his duties. And like I said, one of his last assignments was at the Pentagon and made outreach when there was visitors coming and attempts to have the youth where they were in Washington, D.C. While the one trip didn't work out to be able to get in because we know how secure all that is, but other opportunities have presented themselves to people that would contact him. That's his community side. Talk about having somebody from our community that on a world stage makes such a positive and important impact for the safety of all of us, and then be able to talk to the children and the youth from Monroe when he's here, and knowing that he's making an impact in their life and what they may be in the future, and how better to do that with the time that he spent. So I think it's a great opportunity that we were able to at least recognize him. He's been recognized previously by councils in the past, but that doesn't make this one any less. In fact, his retirement and all that he did since then is well recognized. So I just I want to make some comments there. Last thing, he was providing policy oversight in a $50 million state partnership program and the global engagements with international partners. You think that person is from Monroe, and he thinks about all that he does and all he did for our country. We look forward to hopefully he'll be visiting back someday, and we can coordinate that with a visit here to City Council to, again, I know he's going to have a great retirement celebration, but I know he'll be back in Monroe someday, and we'll get with Councilwoman to see him to come and visit, and we can all personally thank him at that time in person. So just want to review that as well. So and it was our partnership with the Monroe County BDC and all that we've achieved here in the benefits they give to us have well been spoken. So a couple other items that are coming up, and in the future they will appear on the we sent in for activities for people to see. We have concerts in the park that are coming back up here through the end of the month. On August 19th, there's a concert in Park at St. Mary's at 7 p.m. Collision 6 is the group. And then the following week on the 26th is the concert in the park, which attracts probably the greatest amount of people down in the concerts, which is the Shout concert. So, and come early, because then the Downtown Monroe Business Network is having their Ducky Dash, where they get to throw the ducks in and watch them go down the river and see who comes in first. If you haven't bought your tickets, you can do that if you're so inclined to do so. Of course, those funds help the Downtown Monroe Business Network do some of the other activities they do. But so it'll be a fun afternoon and evening on August 26th. Last comment I'll make is on the storm cleanup. I think that everybody has spoken well to not only the DPS and the staff and the leadership and the partnership with our departments of responding collectively to get the job done as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and first and foremost, safely. But I also, as I think was stated, the residents, and Councilwoman Whitman and others have said, the residents were out making sure that they were doing their part to help their neighbors. Well, it wasn't their yard, but it was in front of their house or on their block or down the street or a friend down blocks away, and to do that safely, and things that were reported. So last thing I'll say about that is today I received a letter. Of course, the storm is just still doing some of the cleanup. And we received a correspondence, and it was addressed to me, but it was also for the City Council and to the staff. A thank you for all the work that they did, the resident on Hollywood, because it was one of the harder streets that were hit. A lot of the old mature trees were falling. There were some close calls, and yet there was some damage, but she was very thankful how quickly the next morning that two of the DPS workers are there, and then the follow-up from all our other staff about the cleanup. So to get that letter Monday afternoon after the storm is still kind of having some effects is very appreciated. So that's my comments for this evening. Clerk Treasurer Lavoie.
I have no comment.
Okay. Mr. Pastu, City Manager.
Just want to echo everyone's compliments to our city personnel and their response last week, and particularly how they all worked together during pretty hectic hour and a half right afterwards. So we appreciate that. I do want to have Mr. Lewis come up, talk a little bit about where we are with the cleanup, but also what we're proposing as a follow-up, knowing that we're a long way from getting things back to normal necessarily. So Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. And Mr. Lewis did send out a correspondence that detailing how we're going to get through to all the streets in the city to coordinate a schedule for all the pickup that has to be done with all the limbs and trees. Mr. Lewis.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, Patrick Lewis, Director of Engineering and Public Services. Thank you all for the kind words, and I can't agree more. My staff is great. We've got great people. And obviously, we've assigned every resource we have. We've even got 3 retirees that have been joining us, old ex-forestry employees. So we've got 15 people on, and that's what we've been focusing on since then. So as noted, we did focus right away Wednesday night on getting all the roadways we could open. We did, of course, have some DTE wires that we just couldn't touch those. So we're pretty much open. All the roads are open. I'm happy to report that we now have power back at both of our pump stations. So Elm Avenue under Telegraph is open, as is Dixie Highway under the railroad track. So we think we've got everything squared away on there. On a side note, hopefully all of you noticed CSX did complete their crossing work on Elm Avenue. So actually the flooding worked out pretty well for us underneath Telegraph, because it came at a good time because the railroad was closed. So sometimes you get lucky on the timing. As far as moving forward, we are planning on focusing most of this week, again, with all of our employees on the forestry crew, with the possible exception of one of our mechanic who we're starting to have things break. So we need to keep them back in the shop. But we focused, we're mostly done in the Godfrey Borges neighborhood. We tried to do a little bit on North Custer today, Bentley and Huber. I don't know if any of you have been able to tell where the swath of destruction was the most part, but most of that was within 2 or 3 blocks of the north side of the river. And it's almost like it walked up Michigan Avenue and went north from there. So we've got quite a bit of work to do still on Michigan. And we're going back to Hollywood because there's a lot on Hollywood as well. So kind of going to go neighborhood to neighborhood the rest of the week as far as getting what I'll call the primary cleanup, the big stuff, the city trees. We're going to stay away from garbage day, so you know where we won't be based on where the trash men are in that particular day. As far as next week, one of the things that Mr. Pastu alluded to that I did want to announce for everyone is we've had a lot of inquiries, and I expected for this to be the case. Can private residents bring out private trees? And this is not something we normally offer. Obviously, that's a yard waste service waste management offers, but this is an extraordinary storm here. So what we wanted to make it a priority to do a second pass. So I talked to staff this morning, and we're comfortable that we'll be through our primary activities by the end of the week. So we're asking any residents that have any private brush they'd like us to pick up, chip, depends on the size, whether we load it and haul it or chip it on the spot. We're asking that you get that out to the street by this Sunday night. That would be the 22nd. And we'll start that second pass on Monday next week, the 23rd. We're only going to go down each street one time for obvious reasons. We've got to get back to doing some other tasks. This is our season where we need to kind of make hay in anticipation of fall and winter. So we're only going to make one pass. So that's why we're asking everyone, anything you want to bring out there, bring it out by the end of the night, end of the day on Sunday, and then Monday we'll start. I can't tell you where we're going to start. I can't tell you how many days we'll be doing our patrols, but I would just ask, please get that out there as soon as you can, no later than Sunday night, and we will come and grab it all and hopefully make most of this disappear on the private side as well.
So Patrick, could you clarify anything, please? Because I don't think you're going to chip a couch or chip some other things, but
well, yes,
what I'm referring to here.
Thank you, Mayor. That would be forestry debris, woody debris. Don't bring, yard waste bags are going to get picked up by the refuse contractor. So I mean, we're not going to handle those. Those will be on the regular schedule. But yes, we're not going to chip up a couch. We're not going to chip up a kitchen counter. But forestry debris, I don't want to say if you can haul it, if you can get it to the curb, we can haul it. But I think realistically, if you can get it to the curb, we have equipment that we can haul it. So then we can take it down to our yard. If it's this big around, we'll deal with it as we can. And so and again, I wanted to echo the comment Councilwoman Whitman made about the citizens. Citizens were great. We could not be where we were if we didn't have a lot of people helping us, especially Wednesday night. So that was that was very, very much appreciated. So I did want to give a shout out to a couple of our employees. I mentioned it in the council correspondence last week. We did have 2 of our employees that one of the residents was nearby helping out cutting up, and he did cut his arm badly. And so obviously our first responders were on the scene, but we had a couple of guys that were right there. So Neil Gainier and Todd Leary from our staff did what they could. We used our first aid kit within our truck. So happy to report those 2 individuals from our staff that went above and beyond. I wanted to make sure to mention them by name. So I think I've taken up more than my fair share of time, Your Honor, but was there anything else, Mr. Pastu, that I forgot to mention? Okay. Well, thank you again for all the kind words, and thanks again to my staff that might be watching. You guys are great. Couldn't do it without you. You make me, council, and the city look good. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Bastu, anything further?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
Clerk, next item. Oh, it's citizens' comments. Sorry. So at this time, we'll take citizens' comments. Just be mindful of the rules of the chamber, as if you have comments to make, please address them to myself, the Diaz, as a whole, but also 3 minutes is the time in which we make comments. And if we can take an order as you're ready to go. Gentleman first, and then we'll take who's next. You're also,
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
I know it's Mr. Micka, but also your name and address of residency, please, jurisdiction.
Richard Micka, a resident of the city of Monroe. I got good news and bad news. The good news is the Lotus are back. If you look at the last O in your logo up there, the last O, there's a Lotus tucked in there. This year, it's better than a century of activity out there in the heart, all along the west shore of Lake Erie. In particular, Sterling State Park. If you go to Sterling State Park and go to the boat launch area, it's just tremendous. The Lotus beds are back, and it's just a fabulous thing to see. The Lotus Garden Club used to do tours, but because of the pandemic, they've had to cancel those the last 2 years. But everybody can see Lotus any place you go at Point Mouillet, Sterling State Park, East Dunbar Road. They're all out there. The bad news is Custer, the monument, he's gone through a lot of problems the last 6 months. But he's got a bad one now. It's called verdigris, or brass corrosion. Custer Monument has got brass corrosion, or verdigris now. And back in Montana, when he fought with the Native Americans out there, the soldiers kept their cartridges in leather gun belts. And that would cause corrosion on these brass cartridges. And that was called verdigris. Whenever they put the cartridge in their rifle, they couldn't, after they fired it, they couldn't extract it because it was jammed in there with that corrosion. So they had to pull their pocket knives out and dig that cartridge out. Can you imagine doing that while you're being attacked by somebody? It was a sad story. So after the Battle of Little Bighorn, the Army went to all canvas gun belts for their troops, and they never had that problem again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Micka. Other comments from those present here this evening? Comments? Here, and then I'll go in the back next. Thank you.
Hi, Gloria Raffco, 127 Borges in the city. And I would like to thank personally our engineer and our city manager who were out in our neck of the woods within 15 minutes. And the 4 people that they had from the city, the tree that came down went all the way over to the school, blocked the whole street. And they had that down in 30 minutes. And the whole neighborhood was out watching them. They were the heroes that day. And one question, though. The people that had the telephone wire, which hung, really close to the ground, that didn't get moved till Saturday. And the man that came out, he asked us if we called it in. Well, the people on the street said, no, we didn't know who was supposed to do it. So who does do that if it's between the sidewalk and the curb?
I wouldn't be surprised if one of our personnel called it in just as a downed wire that need to be addressed. Usually the communication wires don't get that high of priority, but certainly the live power lines.
Okay, so are we supposed to do it, though? I mean, if it's in your yard?
Just let us know and we'll make sure somebody.
Okay, thank you. That's what everybody was asking.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say something about Brian Chappelle and congratulate not just him, but his mother. She did a great job with him, and I've known him for years, and I've known his mom, Jan, for years. She was a wonderful woman. Well, she still is a wonderful woman. So thank you, Mayor and Kelly, for getting this resolution going. It's appreciated by the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment. I know I had a hand raised. Yes.
Sorry, it's hard to see everyone in the wings. Hi, Cole Bean, City of Monroe. First, I just want to thank you for having the YouTube feed because I was able to watch from outside where I felt a little bit more secure during this pandemic. So basically, I want to comment, it's me again, obviously. My friends could not be here for various reasons. So, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "There is such a thing as freedom of exhaustion. Some people are so worn down by the yoke of oppression that they give up." He urged the oppressed must never allow the conscience of the oppressor to slumber. So for those who wish to keep the Custer statue in its place, I hope you find your nights restless as you wrestle with the morality of continuing to glorify the war criminal on Indigenous lands. And we have a former slave owner in front of the courthouse, of course. I think you owe it particularly to Indigenous and Black people to do right by them, because let's face it, well, I think my corner is a really, really good marketing phrase. From a marketing standpoint, my corner, great. MI, Michigan, my corner. But let's be real, it's not my corner, it's their corner. And I think that they deserve a say in what happens here before any decisions are made on what is good enough for this town and what is good enough for the statue. We are not going to give up. We're going to continue to do what is right, whether or not that comes with your help or not. And we plan to protest, small protest, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Cole. Other comments this evening? Yes, sir. Name and address, please. City jurisdiction.
It's been a while since I've been before this council. I'm sure I'm membered. Actually, I know I am.
Name, please, and jurisdiction of address.
Eric Bredschneider. Better known, apparently, infinitely, I didn't know, as the Boot Man.
You don't have to place it there, Mr. Brett
So-
Snyder, but go ahead.
That happened over a decade ago, and the rumors or stories are being told as of 7 years ago. And I remember what happened back then that caused that story, like it was yesterday, as I remember what happened at 705 West Front Street as well. And I appreciate you honoring the Lieutenant Schrober here. So I myself am a veteran. I've met too many veterans that have returned from their service, I among them, that look at some of the politics going on and question why they defended for that to happen in their country on their watch. I have been in a billing dispute on a bill that's over a year and a half old, a water bill, for going on 4 months now. I had to do a FOIA to look at the financial account of a disputed bill. I had to do a FOIA to get other water bills, and then another one to get the intermediate ones. Now, you're a former state police officer. If you were investigating a situation like that and the official told you, oh, I think the check bounced, and you go and look and no, the check cleared the bank. And then you talk to the Treasury Department and someone over there tells you, oh, you came in and paid this with a credit card and you know you didn't, and you make them pull that receipt and it proves you didn't. How would you feel as a former state police officer investigating a situation like that? And what would you think of their credibility and whether or not you could trust them?
Anything further, Mr. Brettschneider?
I'd like an answer to the question.
Well, this isn't a debate or a forum. This is your 3 minutes to say what you wish to say, and your time is continuing.
Okay.
Is there something you would like from the administration regarding this bill that you'd like to have referred to Mr. Pastor?
We're going to have to settle it. It's going to take a while.
Okay,
Then
then my
we'll
recommendation is
sit
you get
down.
with Mr. Pastu, but I don't want to use your time speaking.
Also, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but it should have rose to you at this point. The conduct of one of the employees in the water department, and that what she said she could not have said, according to the city manager, could not have known to have said it. She did say it, and that was admitted to, but she had only been employed for 9 months, and the bill's over a year and a half old. And that still needs to be taken care of. And that would indicate that someone fed her the information, which means it's two people.
Okay, Mr. Bressler, you're at your time for 3 minutes. My recommendation is you get with the city manager, provide him the date information of the water bill, the amount that he can look into it. But regarding what rises to the council or the mayor's position, and just for those that have an awareness of how the council manager form of government works, the council sets the policy, the administration is by the city manager, and the city manager would get that information. So that's a conversation you can have with him. So make sure you get with Mr. Pastu before you leave tonight, or sees your information so he can give you a call and find out more information about your water bill. Fair enough?
Understand my position is that as an elected mayor, you cannot delegate away responsibility or liability.
Well, Mr. Bressler, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not saying that. What you're asking for falls within the city manager's ability and authorization to find an answer, and then bring that back to the city council. So thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Pastu, make sure you, if you don't have the information, that you get it.
I'll
and
give
move
council a
forward.
report.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Other comments from those present here this evening? Seeing no other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilman Nicolangeli to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Angeli?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Wilmore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman? Mayor Clark?
Yes.